Hi, it's Sonia. Welcome back to my art channel. Today is going to be a process video. I'm hopefully going to keep it real time, so it's like 22 minutes, start to finish. You get to see me complete this sketchbook spread. It is because this is like one of my favourite gouache landscape sketchbooks. I've kept several of them. I'm probably going to continue keeping them because I really enjoy it. I feel like I've got a technique, probably a lot of artists use as well, so yeah, I'm sure this isn't my own original technique, but it's one that works well in these sketchbooks. It allows me to make some personal art from photos. I haven't really done this process plein air, to be honest with you. I have used gouache out and about, but these are for more, even though this only takes 22 minutes, I'd say this technique is just really relaxing. It's a really nice studio session. It's a good way of getting out. So I've got my gouache palette there, of getting out my good gouache and just relaxing, maybe slowing down a bit. It's probably a bit less frenetic than perhaps some of my like abstract or very loose art. And yeah, no, it's nice to have. For me, it's all about variety in an art practice. So I thought I'd share this one with you, as I know quite well in the past several people have asked about gouache painting and this landscape painting process. There are other videos deep down in my library on them. Essentially, it's the same process. And I also did do for a non-profit a gouache landscape workshop a while ago. I don't think I'm going to be doing quite a lot. I'm not going to probably do workshops, long workshops. So I thought what I might do instead is share for people my process here in little bite-sized videos, and maybe next term after summer when I've got a little bit more time, I'll try and be a bit more make some like project style videos where I can share some of the things I've shared in previous workshops and do some projects for other people to join in with, which might be quite fun. So yeah, that's one of my ideas. But this is, as I say, okay, let's go to the basics of this technique for me. What I like, not for everyone, is I do like a border in this particular sketchbook. I have experimented without, so each to their own, but there's something about the cleanliness of and the satisfaction of peeling away that washi tape and it also makes, this is, it's going to sound really lazy, it also actually reduces the area you have to paint, so you can do it quicker, because the reality is, if you've only got you can do this sort of technique in 15 minutes too. I've made videos on it. Then it reduces the area you need to cover with paint, obviously speeds up your process. But yeah, so it gives me a nice clean edge. I then do, as you've seen, just the briefest, quickest pencil sketch. You could use whatever pencil you've got, or even a pen, because the reality is it's probably, I wouldn't use anything. I've done ink pen in the past, and I have changed my technique over the years. I used to do, I don't know why I used to do this, I used to draw out in detail in a fine liner, and then I'd go over with gouache and realised I'd spent, I don't know why I wasted so much time drawing when it would get covered in gouache. So now I just sketch, just really quickly put, where's my horizon line? Where is that group of trees? Where's the water coming in? That is it, because I can even draw on with I don't think I do it so much in this one. Maybe I do. Do you know, I'm doing a voiceover for this, but I did it a while ago. I sometimes use Prismacolor pencils to speed up the process as well, because you can add drawing and colour and detail at the end with those. So, in some ways your drawing isn't finished. And I also see sketching with a brush, like painting, some sorts of painting, I'm still drawing with a brush, as it were. So yeah, so I like to block in my sky and my the big areas of colour, be it grass. Here it was sort of this is a bay scene. I think there's someone out, from what I remember, there's someone, I think I draw someone putting together his kite surfing or packing up gear in the distance. And so it's kind of like, I must try and remember to put in a photo. It was kind of, the photo wasn't I love photos that aren't inspiring, because actually then I get to try and make those photos more exciting, if that makes sense. So yeah, go look through your bland photos is my tip, but they're still personal, that have a moment that you've captured with family or by yourself or when you've been on a walk. And I wanted to make that sort of mud, sand, whatever you want to call it, a bit more pink, peach, sort of a light rosy petal tint, because that's what I fancied. So yeah, that's the joy also of this type of art. You get to choose your palette. I mean, look, This isn't, and I have done sort of Fauvist expressionistic landscapes. You could use this to lead on to that. But I'm trying here, I try and keep, the sky is blue. It's not the exact blue in the photo. And the bay water, actually that was kind of a muddy greeny brown, but I think I've made it that sort of sagey green because I like that, and I think it represents it quite well. So you do get to alter your colour. I like to alter my colours. It's up to you. If you want to do realistic colours, go for it. That's a great colour mixing exercise. I am using, as you can see, I like to use a small ceramic plate. I do have a bigger one as well if I really want to get some more convenience colours, and I will probably do again. I did once make a colour mixing video for a non-profit, but it was terrible, so I deleted. I thought, oh my gosh, looks how I colour mix is pretty. I just think I've learnt my own way of doing it, essentially through books, other teachers, videos, like everyone else. And I think the biggest thing for me with gouache was just to put some colours onto a plate, your 3 primaries if you've got them. I love white. I always am going to go through tons of white, I'd say. And I like a little black. I know maybe in some watercolourists that's controversial, but I think black is it's great for me when I really want to darken a green. And I really wanted to make that sort of the area of the park over there in the distance, it looks like a copse of trees, but I wanted to, over by the marina, I wanted to make that really sort of a dark, inky forest green. Black is just very convenient for me sometimes. But I like to experiment. I'm not sure I'm going to keep to this way of colour mixing. I might try other different ways and different palettes as well. Another fun thing is actually to swap out, like I've got is that a flame red? Or it's either a Windsor red or a flame red, that bright red I'm mixing there that's making, what am I making? I'm trying to make a purple for the, sort of a lilac-y purple for the mountains or the hills. That's always sort of my go-to for hills in the distance. And yeah, I like to sometimes swap out the colours that I'll use for the red. So you could use more of a warm red, or you can go to a more, what's it called, a cooler red as well. Ideally, if you want to play around with having to be able to mix all the colours, like you could do, the ideal for me, and I think I don't know where I read this, but I used to always like to have like a warm red, a cool red, a warm yellow, a cool yellow, and blues as well. And I can name some. As I say, I might do a more focused video on colour mixing and how I like to mix gouache, and try and be a bit more organised. It's summer. These are all a bit, I don't know, this is all a bit loosey-goosey, but anyway, hopefully it's helpful. So here I am now adding in the distance, the bay, the curving of the land. Yeah, as I say, it probably wasn't that colour, but that's the colour I kind of fancied. The other thing to bear in mind as well, if you want to loosen up, is to put a bit of a time limit on yourself. I think if one has too long, it then is easy to spend ages getting cross or frustrated because you haven't quite got the colours right. What I've learned with gouache is it is super forgiving. So even if I want to tone down that quite dark landmass, I can go over it with white. I can make a really, really pale lilac and go on top. So a lot of the fun is you can get a bit braver with gouache because it doesn't feel quite as definitive or unforgiving as, say, watercolour. And here I've decided to add in some, I guess, more of sort of the water, the standing water. And I think I wanted to slightly pretty up the colours. I think I've sort of I felt that this palette worked with it, and sort of these cool tints, putting it into the bay as well. Depicting water is always interesting, isn't it? I'm not sure I'm not an expert on many of these things, but I certainly am still I sort of have learning with water myself. And yeah, I don't think I ever want to get too detailed with it, but Obviously, I would say my best friend here is a nice permanent white, but and a fine, very fine brush, because then you can just either add in those again, because it's gouache. The beauty of it is you can do the contrast, like your dark, make up some dark cypress green and blues, and for the darker areas of shadow in water, or just get some white for the tiny little, areas, little waves, just little wiggles of brushes. I think it's easy. What I have learned is you just want to, which is why I didn't want to talk and do this, because I think you can get painting too into your head and too judgmental, and actually there is something to be said from just really zooming out, I don't know how to say it, and relaxing into lots of it's that whole sort of looking at your image, mix up the right colours, and just have a go at adding in, at simplifying. I think when a sketch goes really well for me for these type of gouache landscapes, it's because I haven't overcomplicated it and I've kept it relatively simple. Maybe a lot of squinting at your actual reference. Maybe in some ways, if you know the scene very well, paint a little from memory. Don't get too bogged down in, oh, there's a tiny rock there. Oh, there's a this is not at all completely accurate to the scene. Here I am like, oh my gosh, what's going on over that area? And it's also, I do realise later, I come back in, I have to alter this because I can see it now. I think it's how the book is angled. It's all a little bit wonky. But to be fair, I was so into the painting, that I sort of enjoying sort of the painting process. I think I just completely didn't even see that. So I was just having fun, adding some sort of tiny details, but they aren't particularly accurate details, if you see what I mean. I think that's often off-putting. It's easy to get put off doing a landscape because you're like, oh, that landscape's too complicated. I don't know how to represent that. But you're the artist. You get to focus in on an area that you are going to enjoy. And you get to ad-lib. I mean, when you think about musicians or DJs sort of amping some areas or tones, and you also get to own this sketch and play about a little and make the changes that you want to. So this one is coming together. As I say, I've got another 10 minutes, so obviously I do spend quite a bit of time on it. In some ways I could almost say, it's interesting looking at it now, looking it back, I'm like, oh, in some ways maybe I could have just said this. Okay, that area down on the bottom right is not finished. But you can also give yourself 10 minutes and then you're just going to get that will really focus you on blocking in colours and getting using a big brush and not getting into the details, which I am here. But I also am trying myself, that's been a bit of a mission for me, to slow down and also do some more observational painting in amongst all my other chaotic painting, and I think it's a good exercise. I also very much enjoy using these sketches to think about what sort of a landscape, these are local, my photos are from places I've been to. You can also use Map Crunch as well if you're not inspired by anything local to you. But I think it's also been a good way of, when you're out and about, taking photos, make yourself, take a photo a day of a local place, a park. Because even though I paint these areas again and again, there's something, every photo I take of it, and you can delete, if you've got too many you could do this other thing that I love, if you're trying to declutter your digital declutter, paint it and then delete it. But you've got a snapshot of a day, a tide may be out or in, you've got different colours from the clouds. There's just a different atmosphere, there may be people, there may not be people. So here I am here. This is when I talked about, I could have made this drawing initially a lot more detailed, but here I'm sort of drawing with the brush, drawing in the rocks. There was a patch of rocks and I've got a nice fine brush. I love, in terms of, I sometimes feel like, yeah, I forget that when I'm sharing process, I should probably give some more what I'm using as well. I love, for me, these are Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes are my like favourite for watercolour and gouache. They're not too expensive. I'm terrible with brushes. I leave them in, I really don't mean to, but I do often leave them in water. So I don't want to get, oh, actually it could be a Princeton. Also comparable to that is Princeton Select. That could be a Princeton Select. It's either Princeton Select or Winsor & Newton Cotman. Those are rather nice brushes for this sort of work because they're sort of firm. They're not too like I find sable brushes. I don't think you'd probably want to use it with gouache anyway, would you? Not rigid enough. Almost like a synthetic brush actually. Something that's going to hold the paint and be sort of a little bit unyielding in some ways. But yes, obviously you can also, but saying that, I have also used really cheapy kids brushes. They're great for getting down. If you want to get a really sort of painterly, sort of gestural stroke, then loading up with your gouache and spreading that all over the page, you do get some nice brush effects as well, which is why I also very much love gouache paint. Here I'm adding the white details to the waves. There were some waves in the distance. Probably made them a bit too big and comparable, but again, if I want to exaggerate them, it's a sketch. I didn't want to get too bogged down in depicting and act. My primary aim is this is not meant to be exactly like my photo. But yeah, so now I think I carry on and add that. So this is a miniature brush. I've also bought some like miniature brushes ages ago, which I use as well. They're a bit annoying because they've got really short, short bristles at the end, which are sometimes a pain. But it's good to, I think it's good to get your brushes out and just play around with them. And not, I don't, as I say, worry too much. Here I'm mixing up a very neutral. I very much enjoy mixing up neutrals as well. I tend to try and save that to the end. And I'm just going in between the rocks. Yeah. So if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and maybe in another process video I will answer them. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I realise, as I say, I'm not one to do a lot of long process videos, to be honest with you. It could be something I could do. If you want silent ones, I can definitely make some of those. I guess that'd be, and maybe add, I don't know, what sort of sounds do you like in the background? Well, you could obviously listen to other stuff, but was it whale? No, I wouldn't do whale music. Light bird song, perhaps? Waves? This is be quite nice. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to show in real time a sketchbook spread that I kind of like. It's not one of my best in this book, but it was a good one for me. I felt it was good practice, and yeah, very doable in 20-25 minutes. Anything else to share about this particular process? Whoa, I'm jogging it a little bit. I can't really... Oh, here I go. Okay, I do use my pencil. Now I'm going to come in with the Prismacolor pencils. Actually, I probably did, and I wasn't even... Oh, and I've gone for a really bright red there. Why? Oh, okay. So yes, here I am drawing this is the final stage, because there was a guy with a collapsed, I don't know what it was. It could have been a kite. The elder's taken up kite surfing. I'm not sure it was a kite surfing kit though. Was it? I don't know what it was. Some sort of surfing on the bay equipment. And I wasn't sure. I left it to the end because that's the thing. I was like, do I need it? And I was like, yeah, I think the composition, I sort of wanted to draw the eye across towards the sort of the trees in the distance. And I felt it did need a little something there. So I thought, let's put this figure in. I didn't want to faff around, quite frankly, with paint and my fine brush sort of drawing this in. So I was like, I know Prismacolor pencils, any good quality pencil was going to work well on gouache. Again, gouache is fantastic as a base for mixed media. You can also, if you want looser drawing, I love Neo 2 crayons. That's fantastic if you want to get loose with your drawing. But if you want sort of a more tighter, detailed then yeah, I like to have a very sharp pencil, and I was sort of drawing there, and I felt it needed a bit of darker colour. So that's how I finish up this this particular piece. So yeah, this video is coming to an end. I hope I have, as I said, shared with you a very doable, extremely doable process. And yeah, all you need are some, a few gouache paints, have your primaries, and then I have got a few, choose your favourite convenience colours as well that goes with the particular piece you're working on. So for example, oh, you can see my head there. If I'm doing sort of sea or water scenes, I tend to get a cypress green in because I always find that, and some turquoises. If it's a lot of greenery, I do love a chromium oxide as a convenience colour. That's one that I love. I also feel in terms of colour mixing that there's a few other colours that are extreme. That opera pink is one that I personally wouldn't probably be able to mix myself, so I like to have that as an extra colour. I think a lot of us do. What's the other one? I used I don't have it actually. I need to get it. There was a terracotta colour in the Winsor & Newton line that I very much loved for when I lived in Europe and sort of that old European buildings and museum scenes. Okay, so now I really am nearly finishing this video. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I hope you've had time to do your own sketch. And yeah, thanks again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.